So we watched the American Murder Mystery yesterday, and as you guys, I don't know if a lot of you guys know, you should watch it. It's on Netflix. It basically gathers all the information that's available on the internet, and they put into one documentary. It's not really like a documentary where you're hearing anything from the families or anything. It's basically, they just took everything they found on the internet and they put it together in a well-pieced verse, and it just basically tells you about the American Murder Mystery. It's not even a mystery, it's a murder. So the story starts off with Shannon, and they basically are building her personality. And like, you guys, this is the first time you're actually able to see so much about a person. I don't know if you guys have done this. I do it all the time. Every time I hear something crazy on the news that is very like about a murder, or it's about something crazy, like someone gets, you know, DUIs or like murders or just like sudden, really like not cool events happening, I will literally go Google the person. Shannon. I feel like I can't say her name correctly. She was kind of an influencer in her own way. She documented a lot of her life on Facebook, and she was working with a company called Thrive, and I guess it's kind of like an Herbalife company, it seems like. And she was pretty much capturing her whole life with her two daughters, Cece and Bella, and her husband, Chris. So this was the first time, I feel, in my whole life where I was able to see a life of a person. I feel like this is why this whole story really took on and it caught the attention of a lot of Americans, because we were for the first time able to see a whole family dynamic, and then later on see the ending of a family, and a very tragic ending and a very sad ending. So a lot of the videos, Shannon really talks about how she went through a really dark life, and she was able to come back and, you know, really grow this beautiful life that she now had with her two daughters and her very wonderful husband, Chris. So she was always really praising her married life with Chris. So the first thing I thought when I saw that she was constantly praising her married life with Chris, I don't know, I have this thing, I feel like when a couple or a woman constantly has to praise a marriage, or constantly has to kind of like say that their marriage is like going well, or they're so blessed, and like when you're constantly counting your blessings, it's almost like there might be some problems there, you know what I mean? Or maybe she was just really grateful for her marriage, but that was like kind of a sign for me while I was watching the show. I was like, you know, she's constantly saying how grateful she is for him, because maybe she's noticing some craziness and she's just trying to, you know, show that she appreciates him. When I read the comments and I did research on the whole thing, I saw a lot of people in the comments saying that Shannon was a horrible wife, and the way she talked to him, she degraded him when she talked to him. Honestly, if you've been married for a long time and you're married in a situation, someone's a little bit more, I know with me and my husband, I'm a little bit more camera savvy and he's a little bit more quiet on camera. You don't know what's going on in their lives when the camera is not rolling. In my household, like my husband is a lot more outspoken when the camera's not rolling, but when the camera's rolling, he's like really quiet, and I'm the outspoken one. So I often get messages where people are like, dude, you're like so hard on your husband, be a little bit nicer. So when I saw that being said about Shannon, I was like, oh my gosh, I totally know how that feels, because I have the same issues with my followers sometimes thinking that I'm like this dominant person and my husband's like this puny little person, but he's really not. He was basically doing a lot of like, I'm so grateful for my life, and she has a really good marriage, and that's what it looked like online. It really looked like it was an amazing marriage, and he just looked like such a good father. There's so many clips of him just being so loving and amazing with his daughters. And, you know, there's even a clip of one of their daughters saying that my daddy is my hero and I really, really love him. I mean, when I saw that clip, I kind of lost it, because it just clearly showed that this man is so loving, and he was so good to his daughters. And so, like, you know, this was a very happy family. So you just question, like, how could this happen to such a happy, perfect family, right? I mean, the whole time I'm just watching this and wondering too at the same time, like, how can this be such a thing and this is not real? I'm like waiting for somebody to like tell me like this is not real. How this be turned into a murder was basically Shannon. She went on a retreat. So often when you work with these companies like Thrive or Herbalife or any of these companies, they often have these events. Even like for me, like I'll go to like a makeup event and I'll be gone for a couple of days. So I guess she was gone for a couple of days, and then she went with her friend, and then I guess she reported to her friend like, hey, you know what? Let's see each other in the morning. And then she never showed up for her appointment. And because she never showed up to meet up with her friend got concerned. Her friend showed up to the house and was like, I know my friend. Kudos to that friend though, by the way, saying that I know Shannon, she never would do this, and actually taking the time to like really care about her friend. Cause like, I mean, think about it. How many of us really know so much about our friends, right? I mean, I have friends that I know a lot about, but none of them live next to me. Like, who can actually like vouch for my appearances, you know? So shout out to that friend for like being so caring and coming. So she shows up to the house and she's like, I can't find Shannon. I guess Shannon has like lupus and she has some medical issues where it would be concerning for the friend, like having her just like be left alone. And then she was like, she's not answering her phone. And her friend was like, well, if it's not her behavior, she would always answer her phone. So then the cops show up. The cops are like, well, we can't let you in. We got to wait for the husband to get here. The husband shows up, which is Chris Watts. When he shows up, he is like, hey, what's up? Hi, how are you guys doing? You know? And the whole time you're like watching this situation, you're kind of like, wait, I mean, how is he just like, you know, he murdered her, you know what I mean? And he was being so like, oh, hey, I'm just a friendly person. I'm here to open the door for you. I'm so concerned. I can't find my wife. I can't find my daughters. Like, what is going on? I just want my kids back. And he's just being so concerned when he was talking to the officer, that he was just like, I just want them to come back. He goes into the house. They start searching the house. The officer's searching the house. He's like, okay, you know what? Doesn't seem like there was a break-in. Doesn't seem like there was any malicious behavior here. Everything looks like it's in place. It just doesn't make sense. Then he's like, then Chris Watt comes out with like his little pitiful, sad moments of like, oh my God, her phone's still here. I'm so stressed that her phone's still here. Oh my God, her meds are still here. Like, he's just so stressed. He's like, everything's in place, but yet my wife and my kids are missing. My daughters are missing. And he's just acting like so distraught. Like he just doesn't know what's going on. And like the whole time that you're watching this, you're just thinking to yourself, like, is he really serious? Like, how pathetic can one person be? Oh, but he was being pathetic. Like, and you know, and you're watching this American murder mystery show on, you know, documentary on Netflix, and you're just thinking to yourself, like, I know you murdered her. You know, and how could you just sit there and act like, oh, I have no idea what happened to my wife. That makes no sense to me. Like, how could you just do that? But he was doing it. And then the officer, the next door neighbor, was like, hey, you know what? I have a video. I video camera the outside of my house, and I can see Chris Watts' house. I could see what he's doing. And I could see everything, like people that are coming in and out. This neighbor was just trying to be helpful. But at the same time, I feel like the energy of Shannon was already there. And she was like basically just guiding people, like, find me, help me, you know. And this neighbor came and was like, let me show you. So then he shows the police officer. And of course, at the time, Chris Watts shows up and he's like, oh, well, so let me explain to you guys, let me physically just lie to you guys and let you guys know why I was pulling out my car at 5:30 in the morning and why you guys saw that. And he started to make up some like really, really crazy story about like how somebody was like messing with his garage bolts or something like that. And because of that, that's why he had to like move his car. And like, it just made no sense what he was saying. And then he did this motion of like this, and he started to like, just like really, and it just looked like he was getting really nervous. That was the only moment where I saw him get nervous, is when the neighbor was showing that 5 a.m. Video of him moving his car. That was the first time he showed a sign of nervousness. But once he saw that the police officer was giving him a benefit of the doubt, Chris Watts was like, I can handle this. This officer's not buying it. This officer doesn't care. And obviously my neighbor doesn't have enough proof to incriminate me because he can't see anything. So he was really nervous for a second. It looked like that they were gonna catch on to him because now this neighbor has a clip, but then it wasn't enough of a clip because they couldn't see too much, right? And it's so crazy because the neighbor was already like, oh no, he did something. Chris Watts did something. Something is up. He's never this talkative. It's never, no. The neighbor was just not having. The neighbor was like, I can already tell there's some craziness. Really, the neighbor already knew, like, okay, there's some shady shit that went down here. And he was telling the officer, in light of all the things that is going on with police officers, this officer was actually really, really nice. And he was just like, let's not jump to conclusions. You never know what's going on. Maybe the dude is just nervous because he's just like distraught, can't find his wife, can't find his kids, which is like normal. I mean, everyone would be like a little crazy if they can't find their children and they can't find their wife. Chris Watts calls in. He basically follows everything the police officers are telling him to do. Obviously Shannon's family is involved now, and Shannon's family is like, find my daughter for me. Like, we need to find my daughter. Like, this is not a joke. And I feel like, and I'm sensing while I was watching it, I feel like maybe the mom already knew. She had a sense of it, maybe. I mean, it has never been stated, but I feel like as a mom, you get that, you have like that sixth sense. And she just kind of felt it, like, okay, you know what? Like, we need to find my daughter. So at that time, a lot of phone calls being made to the police station. And then they just kind of question him on what he's, has he found? Has he heard anything? What does your daughters look like? And they want just information about his little girls. And then there is another scene where he is basically told to come on camera. He gets an interview. He's going to get interviewed by the local news. I mean, this was mainstream. I remember watching this like whole thing unfold, and I remember paying attention to it because I was like, what is going on? And it was like a big deal on YouTube for a very long time. Like, he would just literally came on camera and he was like, I just want my family back. I want my wife back. If she's gone, if she's running away from me, could she just please come back home? Because if she comes back home, that's all I want. Like, he was just like, I'm a lost without her type of husband vibes is what he was giving. I was not buying it though. I mean, I was kind of buying it because I kind of felt bad, but I was a little scared because I was like, you know what? Like, a lot of crazy shit is happening right now. So she could have gotten like completely lifted and some janky shit could have happened to her. So while I was viewing him on the news, I was like, okay, maybe this is some crazy stuff. And I'm really going to pray for Shannon and the girls. Like, the world can be a super dark place right now. So I was not going to be like, oh, nothing could have happened to him, and I wasn't going to jump to conclusions and think that the husband did it. They made him take a polygraph test, and the polygraph test was basically had a lot of questions about, does he know where his wife is at? He said no. And if you listen in on the polygraph test really, really well, you could tell that his voice changes and his tone of voice changes, and there's like kind of his breathing changes, which causes his nose to sound different than his regular nose. If you really want to catch it, you'll be able to catch it in the on the Netflix special. Like, just kind of like rewind. I mean, if you care enough, rewind and try to listen to it slowly, and you could tell automatically that he was lying. I think the polygraph woman was able to, she was watching the results as they were coming in. She was able to see that he was clearly lying. So they asked if he knew anything about his daughters, if he knew where Shannon was, did he have anything to do with it? And of course he said no to everything. And his polygraph test came out negative. And then when his polygraph test came out negative, they basically started to corner him and they started to question him. The first thing they questioned him about he used to be overweight. He was like 245 pounds. He got fit, lost weight. He's feeling confident. He's like feeling himself. He's loving himself. So he's like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna, be who I need to be. And he was just going to, detective was like, usually when men start to have this like drastic change in the way they look, they kind of like start to have an affair and things like that can happen. So he was like, was there an affair? Were you having an affair? Was there a problem? And you know, Chris Watts lied, like the liar that he is. He is a compulsive liar, and it's kind of scary when people can lie straight face like that, because that's scary. He said, no, I never had an affair. Of course, the cop already knew there was an affair going on. Of course, you know, cops, once they start digging, they find a lot of stuff. And here comes the marital issues. So it looked like Shannon and Chris Watts had some marital issues. They were in some severe debt, and there was also just a lot of marital issues with their family. So there was a lot of marital issues with Chris Watts and Shannon Watts because Chris Watts' mother did not like Shannon. The family didn't like it. Nobody really talks about the dad, but it was basically a feud between the mother. Chris Watts' mother and Chris Watts' sister did not like Shannon, and it created a lot of problems in their marriage. It shows a lot that Shannon really tried to have a good relationship with her mother-in-law, but it was always almost impossible to have this really good relationship with her mother-in-law because the mother-in-law made a lot of claims that she just like felt like Shannon was always overreacting, or Shannon was always having like the reaction was just a lot. For instance, a certain situation happened where Cece or Bella, one of them, is really allergic to nuts, or they can't eat certain nuts, and that was like a big thing. So Shannon told her mother-in-law, like, my daughter can't eat these things. And okay, I have an opinion on that. So I know a lot of parents, and when their kids, parents and adults, when they're allergic to something, that's the first thing you learn about them. When you learn anything about anybody, the first thing you learn about is all the allergies they have, or the things that they can't do, or the things they can't eat. That's like the first thing you learn about them, because they express it, right? And if they're children, the parents express it even more. And Shannon expressed it right away to her mother-in-law, and her mother-in-law claims that she didn't hear Shannon, or she didn't know. I'm just like, if you're a grandma, you should know things. I just feel like maybe Chris Watts' mom did not care. She did not care. She just did not care. It was her way of being disrespectful towards Shannon, and it affected the child. Like, you just don't know. Coming from like a marriage where also my husband's mom doesn't like me, I felt some type of way. Like, the moms really do stuff like that. If they don't like who their son married and they feel like some type of control over their son, oh, they'll do whatever it takes to get rid of the girl or make it I don't know why mothers do this, because it's like, you're only hurting your son. Like, the only person that's suffering, well, you know, Shannon is in peace now. Not that she deserved to be where she's at. She didn't have a choice, but I'm just saying, like, this mother that hated Shannon, now your son is in jail because you couldn't just stay out of their marriage. I'm not blaming it on her, but I'm just saying, like, it's a lot of buildup, you know? And I'm pretty sure maybe Shannon reacted like that because she just felt threatened, because she's already in a household where people don't like her. Like, these parents were so against the marriage that they didn't even come to the wedding. So you could already tell like how much animosity there is towards Shannon. So I can already feel where Shannon was coming from, and she just like said she was never going to go there again, go to Chris Watts' parents' house again. And she told Chris Watts, like, hey, you need to fix things with your parents, and you need to tell them what's up, because this is not acceptable. Chris Watts was like, of course, baby, I'm on your side, blah, 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 kind of like that. Like, I'll speak to my mom. This was not right, you know? So then that was it. And I don't even know, maybe they started to grow apart or what's going on. But Shannon started to slowly recognize that there was issues between them. They kind of stopped having sex. He made a lot of excuses about why he didn't want to have sex with her. Obviously, Shannon being a married woman and she's happy with him, she's like, what's going on? What changed? Why are we not having sex? Every time I'm pursuing you, you're saying no to me. And you know, as a woman, when you pursue a man, especially if you're married to him and he's like, no, I don't want sex, like, that is like so frustrating. And there's no explanation to like why you're not wanting to be with me. And it seems like Shannon already had a lot of insecurity issues as is, and she just saw Chris Watts as somebody that came and basically took her out of any insecure issues that she had. So you already noticed there was a extreme attachment that she had towards him. So for him to reject her, it was really giving her a lot of pain, especially like sex time. Like, you know, she's getting ready, she's coming to bed, getting ready, wanting to just be with her husband, and he's just rejecting her. Then Shannon went to North Carolina to see her family. She was gone for, I guess, like 6 weeks or something. And he was barely even communicating, and she was just frustrated because she was like, why aren't you messaging me? Why aren't you missing me? And of course he's giving like the generic answers that he's missing her and stuff like that. But we all know, if you guys have followed this, we knew why he was not missing Shannon. There was another woman, I guess her name is Nicole. There was another woman, and she was basically dating Chris Watts, and she was basically Googling his whole life and trying to know things about his wife and things like that. It's still very a mysterious situation why this girl continue. I mean, we know it happens. Women do date men that are married, and they continue, and these women become obsessed with the man, and they just hope that the man will leave their wife, and then they're just trying to like cross-check if this man is telling the truth. And obviously it kind of seemed like Chris Watts was telling this girl, like, I'm not happy with my wife, but I mean, I love you and I want to be with you. And she was just checking, but then Chris Watts was not like leaving her. And a lot of people want to speculate and say that the girlfriend was pressuring Chris Watts to leave his wife, and because he wasn't, that this is like it just kind of turned into this because he wasn't leaving his wife, and then he maybe like accidentally, you know, just lost it and murdered his wife. But I mean, I think this was all premeditated. I think he premeditated wanting to kill his wife. I think they were in a lot of debt. I think he wanted to collect on some life insurance, because I think there is even some claims that he did open up a life insurance on all 3 of his kids, like on all 3 of the people. He opened up one on his 2 daughters and his wife. And I don't know, like, he sound real stupid because did you think nobody was gonna find out that she was missing? And did you think you were really gonna get away with it? Like, honestly, the whole crime was very sloppy. How he did it was just so sloppy. It was almost like he was trying to get caught. I have no idea. But if he thought he was smart, he's not. And clearly, he's not. So Chris Watts met Nicole at his job, and of course, they just hit it off at their job. They started to hang out a lot. They started to do a lot of like active stuff. Nicole's like young, and she's basically, it almost seems like Chris Watts was trying to relive his young life. Seemed like a little bit of a midlife crisis, and he was just like going on these adventures with this woman, and he just didn't want to be tied down to his family life anymore, and he just wanted to be free, right? But if you want to be free, why do you got to kill your wife? Like, I mean, just divorce her, she would have moved on and life would have just continued. Why did you need to murder her, right? That's like my question. Like, go and live your midlife crisis bullshit. So anyways, that was a big insightful that came once he failed the polygraph test. He did admit to having an affair with her, and during talking to the cops, he said that him and Shannon were having a conversation. The conversation got heated, and then guess what, guys? He tried to pin the murder of his children onto Shannon. Like, he was like, I just lost it because she killed the daughters, and then I lost it and killed her. So he was trying to make it like a mental thing. And then once he realized that, like, they were like, no, absolutely not. Kudos to the cops. They were like, no, you're not going to pin this on Shannon. Like, you need to pin this. Like, you know, this is you. You did this, right? And this is just their tactics of trying to get information out of these murderers. Like, okay, we want the truth. We don't want like this cookie cutter, like meditated truth. We want the real truth. And eventually the real truth came out. He said they were having a heated conversation, and he just strangled her. Like, she was sleeping and he strangled her. I guess the conversation happened and then she was sleeping. We will never really know what's happening. We'll we'll never really know what truly happened between them. But he basically claims that he strangled her, and then once he strangled her, he put her in the car. And when he put her in the car, he went to go bury her by his job. He works at an oil refinery, and he went to go bury her in the field. And the daughters were still alive. And when I don't know how he did this, but he basically choked and strangled both of his little daughters at the same time. And one of his daughter she was like asking him not to do it. She was like, "Daddy, no." I'm like, wow, how do you do that? How do you murder your two daughters? Like, how do you do that? And you just murdered your wife. Like, it's not like he went on a murdering spree. There has been stories in families of like a dad murdering the whole family at once, which I still do not understand that. Like, how? I'm still very speechless about that. And when he did that, he actually went ahead and put his two daughters into a oil refinery, one of those big, huge metal tubs. I don't know what they call them. And it was crazy because some of the videos that I've watched on YouTube actually showed that it was like that big. Like, they were like, you had to really squish the body to put them in there. So I'm just wondering, how did he fit his daughters in there? Like, he must have really hurt his daughters when he was putting them in there. Like, this is a monster, you guys. This is a monster. It should have been called the American Monster Murder Mystery, because it was like, I'm still very speechless about this whole thing. So then during the whole show, it came down to he basically murdered his pregnant wife and his two beautiful daughters, and he still hasn't given a reason why. There is no reason why. There's just speculations. He says that it just kind of happened. The internet and YouTube and all of us believe it was premeditated. He says that Shannon just laid there and didn't fight back, and he just, suffocated her. Her dad, Shannon's dad, doesn't believe that. He's like, no, my daughter was a fighter, and she would have never just lay there and allowed you to murder her. I think it was premeditated. I think he caught Shannon when she was not even looking, and she wasn't even, knowing. I think they had sex. He said that they did have sex. And as you know, Shannon did say that, hey, you know what? We weren't, like, she was having a problem with them not having sex. So I'm pretty sure he kissed and made up with her, and then he murdered her. It was that type of situation. I think he is a monster. And I'm sorry, you guys, if I'm not so great at this whole true crime. I'm more like, I like to give my opinions, and I share what I believe could have happened. Also, you guys know it's just my opinion. It's not facts. But I think maybe he did definitely kiss and make up with her and gave her the impression that everything was gonna be okay and that we're gonna work things out. And the next thing you know, because how do you have sex and then say, hey, I'm cheating on you, by the way? No, I don't think Shannon knows any of that. I think he played her and he was confusing her. And then he just decided, like, you know what? I can't just walk away from my wife, so I'm just gonna get rid of her. And there are some clips of the girl, Nicole, coming in and talking to the cops, and she's just kind of like, I didn't know I was with a monster. I had no idea. I think this girl, Nicole, isn't really telling the truth. I think she knew a lot of things. I think he maybe admitted to her and told her, like, hey, this is what happened. Obviously, he's not gonna do it via text. And I don't think the cops were tracking him for the 2 days that he faked that he had no idea where his wife was at. Like, were they really tracking him? Did they know his every whereabout? Of course, he probably met up with this girl. Maybe there was some stuff going down. I think he openly admitted it to her. Obviously, this girl isn't going to tell everybody that they admitted it. He admitted it. She's not going to tell anybody that because, she's not trying to get herself in trouble. I definitely don't think this girl is going to tell any information to the police officers like, oh yeah, he met up with me and he confessed to me. Okay, yeah, why? Because I'm gonna be like, why is he confessing to you? So you knew about this and you didn't come forward. Like, there's so many questions. I feel like she is kind of giving off not enough information. And I feel like she knew a lot because she was Googling. If you really look into this case, she was Googling a lot of things about this woman, Shannon, and wanted to know. I mean, yeah, of course, if you're sleeping with a married man, you're gonna want to know about the wife. You're gonna want to know why you're doing what you're doing. She was trying to figure out what's going on, and didn't stop her from being with him though. So according to the documentary by Netflix, in the end, it was basically he did cry in the courtroom. So it showed he had some type of remorse, and he showed that he fucked up. Maybe he's going to try to do the whole mental thing. He had like a mental problem or had a mental breakdown. I mean, you guys, this is a very scary case because this guy looks like such a nice person. He just did not fit the, I'm a mass murderer, I'm a horrible husband criteria. Like we literally saw all of the content on Shannon's Facebook, and they just look like a really happy, great family. Like watching Shannon's family address him and just tears coming down their cheeks because even they're devastated. Like they knew this man and they knew like murder was never an answer. Maybe they would have broken up or something like that could have happened, but why was murder an answer? And I just watched the moms, the dad and the family and the brothers, just like tears coming down their eyes because they just were like, why did this have to happen? And they, the questions, and I have the same questions towards him, like why? And he really has no answer. Like, I don't think there has not been a straightforward answer. I've seen some things on YouTube, but YouTube could be lying sometimes. I think I saw on YouTube that he was basically trying to say, like, he was like, oh, I'm going to give exactly why I did it if someone pays me type thing. I saw that on YouTube. I'm not sure if that's true or if that was a myth, but I also saw that the family was like, absolutely not. You are not going to get any money for like a book or writing a book or writing something about this. Even though I don't know, can you use your money when you're in jail? Like, does it even matter? I don't even know. But they're basically like, we don't want your family even having the money. Like, they're not going to make any money off of this story. I do not think this guy has mental issues. I just think he's a monster. I think he was a monster waiting to just come out. Guys, I officially finished my makeup. I don't know how good I did with this murder mystery makeup moment. I just really wanted to talk about the whole situation with American Murder on Netflix and my reaction. So in the end, he still has to give an explanation on why he did it. And I still want to know, like, it's still a question that occurs to me sometimes, especially when I see Chris Watts cases come onto my YouTube feed. I'm like constantly asking myself why. I still hurt with the family. I still hurt for Shannon. I still have a very emotional response because I'm a married woman. I hope to have kids with my husband. And I would like to believe I have a very happy marriage, and my husband says we're very happy. I always check with him. I always want to have an open, door with my husband where we just are always free to have conversation. So I've always told him, if you ever feel like you're not in love with me anymore, please come tell me. Don't murder me. Don't murder me. Just tell me you don't love me anymore and we can figure it out. It will be peaceful. It will not be crazy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this murder mystery video. Give me some feedback. I'm not the greatest at this. This is probably my first video. I don't know if it's going to be my last video, if I'm going to do any more. If you guys want more like this, I will do more. Just like this video and comment down below and I'll do more. Enjoy. Have a great day. I love you guys so much. Bye.